I hear a lot of things, but right now we're live in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all music and wrestling matters, and you are definitely not seeing things. We are here with the legendary one and only TNA Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer Raven, and Raven has got a brand new documentary out, and everyone's been talking about it. I've had a chance to watch it. It's out now on Amazon Prime, and we're going to be talking about that here over the next few minutes, and it is an absolute honor. And sir, I know you've only got a few minutes. Usually I do a long intro or for all my heavy metal and rock and roll guys, but you just, here for a couple of minutes, and I wanted to take the time out and talk about the documentary and how's the response been so far?
So far, it's been fantastic. Um, you said is there still a buzz on the background of my voice?
You have a little bit of buzz, but it's better. It's a little bit better. Unfortunately, for those that may not know, we've had some technical difficulties to get us going here, but we're gonna make the most of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and give you as much time as I can. Um, yeah, but the documentary's doing really well. I'm really happy with it. I think the director did an amazing job and told my story as exactly as I would have wanted him to. Which means that it's very painful for me to watch.
Yeah, I've noticed that because I've seen you do a bunch of interviews for this, and I find it fascinating that you've actually not watched it when everybody else is with all these screenings and such. And how does that
Well, I
make?
watched it. I watched it originally. I watched the rough cut, and then I watched the final draft. But that was like 2 years ago, and I haven't watched except the last 30 minutes. Recently when we've been just showing it around the country.
Sure, sure.
It's just it's like I've dealt with all the issues. I'm content with them, but it's still like ripping a Band-Aid off. And there it is in visual, audio and visual. So I'm not just talking about it. I'm seeing it, and it's all my negative traits all combined in a 2-hour format.
Yes.
Completely. It's also got all my positive stuff too. So don't get me wrong. It's not.
You're one of the most important wrestlers that came out of the 1990s. And I'm a kid growing up in Brooklyn, New York, and I remember playing your character in WCW NWO Revenge. I mean, I still have the game. I have WCW NWO Thunder. You were a part of those games, so you are an important character. And I was curious. Now that you look back on your career, do you feel differently in watching the documentary?
Um. Well, I've felt differently about my career for the last 20 years. I mean, for the longest time, at first I thought it was successful. Then I thought it wasn't. Then I realized that it was after I spent time on a shrink's couch.
Well, that was
Because it was I didn't become the top guy in the top company. So to me it was to me for a long time I viewed it as a failure, even though the odds of being the top guy in the top company are astronomical.
I mean, you were the ECW World Champion. You were an important part of WCW, and even in the WWE, WWF, you did have your moments, and I think and I've gotten a chance to watch the documentary, and it's an incredible documentary. We're going to put the link up here for it shortly, but when you look back now that your career is over, I thought one of the things that was fascinating much is that you don't watch wrestling currently today. Why is that? And what do you think of today's wrestling in 2025?
I don't watch it. I haven't seen it in a long time. I stopped watching when they did the Alliance angle and they brought all the WCW and ECW guys in and did nothing with us. It was so heartbreaking. You know what I mean? I lost my interest for it. As a TV product.
Sure. No, I mean, it became too much at once, and sometimes it should be all killer, no filler, and it wasn't that. I mean, when you look at the documentary, and obviously everybody should go to theraveneffect.com, also follow you on Instagram, also check you out on all social media platforms, and we're here with the legendary Raven, of course, TNA Hall of Famer, and one of the pillars of what ECW became. And looking at the documentary and the relationships you had with different wrestlers, I mean, is there one or two moments in your career that stands out most to you?
career-wise or behind-the-scenes-wise, or?
Just your career. I mean, obviously, is there one or two, watching this documentary and now that, you've gotten a chance and maybe reflecting on your career, is there one or two moments that stand out most?
Um, One of the things is the double dog collar with the pit bulls.
I know Gary Wolf. I've interviewed him. Yep, I'm well aware of that match.
Yeah, that was a great match. The match where I made Gordy look like he could still wrestle.
Yes, that's another one I remember very well. I watched it on a VHS. Yep.
Yeah, because he had a stroke or overdosed and was in a coma for a couple days or whatever, and then his brain wasn't as functioning as highly at that point, and he couldn't wrestle like he was because he was one of the greatest wrestlers ever. He was amazing. But we brought the old Terry Gordy out, brought him back for one night at least, and yeah, that was a really proud moment for me to be able to give him one last moment of, and also to be able to do that because he'd wrestled a bunch of other guys and nobody was able to get the old Gordy back. You know what I mean? But we set up a match where all he had to do was follow the trail, and I was really proud of that.
It's funny you said that because I always felt about your wrestling career. You were one of those that, you almost, there's this term in music called "keep it simple, stupid" KISS, and you were one of those wrestlers that lived by that to a T, where you didn't have to do all these big spots, you didn't have to do all these big things. And was that something that you lived by most, was just to try to go out there and almost keep it simple, and not just with Gordy, but throughout parts of your career?
No, you don't have a. You're a little bit off. I didn't think we needed. I still believe you need creativity. Think you need complex spots to be intriguing. So I always tried to do that. I just thought less is more. It's not keep it simple, stupid. I get that, but mine was more less is more. And Raven, the less you were able to get to him, and the more you had to go through his flock, the more annoying it was. So it worked out perfect. My gimmick worked out perfect with my laziness.
One of the things in the documentary that is a topic is the character itself and how you become this character. Was that a struggle for you during the height of your character, was separating who you were in real life from Raven?
Yes and no. It started out that art what's this term? Art follows reality.
Yeah, you become that thing almost.
Yeah, well, what's the term? I forget the term. Drawing a blank.
Well, I mean, image becomes reality almost.
Yeah, no, it's something like that. It's something like art. I know the audience is going to be screaming at their podcasts, screaming at their wherever they're viewing this or listening to this, screaming the answer.
Yeah, they will. I have a lot of wrestlers that come on my platform. They're gonna want to hang me for not knowing it, so don't feel bad. They won't. They'll let you go off it.
Yeah, but art. Damn it! I can't think of it. It's so aggravating.
Well,
anyway, art imitates life. That's it. The word imitate. Art imitated life, but then life started to imitate art. Is what happened. That's the simplest way I can put it. Art imitated life. Raven was based on me. But then life started to imitate art, and I started to become more Raven. Even though Raven was me. But it was me turned up to 100,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of what we see in the documentary. And if you want to watch the documentary, you can do it a few ways. Obviously, Amazon Prime is the most important one. You can also go on Instagram to Official Raven Film. You can also follow Raven on Instagram at The Raven Effect. And also, he has a podcast out there, which you should go check out because he talks about a lot of different things on his mind. And
we don't talk about wrestling on the podcast.
I noticed that. I've got a chance to listen to that. That's kind of how
it's wrestling adjacent. We're adjacent to wrestling because it's what I do for a living, but it's not what I want to talk about.
It's funny you say that because I get on a lot of hard rock and heavy metal musicians on my platform, and it's kind of the same response in rock when I'll ask them, do you listen to other bands or other, musicians? And they usually say no, because I'm so wrapped up on being on the road and I kind of want to get away from that. So I'm not surprised that on your podcast you're not really talking as much about wrestling because you lived it. Why do I want to go back and go to something that I
Yeah,
did
kind
for so
of.
long?
It's like the closing line of the documentary about I bought the T-shirt
Yep.
and how I bought the T-shirt, threw up on the T-shirt, bought another T-shirt, threw up on that T-shirt, bought another T-shirt, wiped my ass with it, and realized it probably wasn't a good idea to get a T-shirt
Well,
in the first place.
somebody would buy it on eBay, I'm sure. One of the things I wanted to ask you while I have a few more minutes with you is I get a lot of wrestlers on here. I get a lot of up and coming musicians on my platform, and I'm very blessed for that. But if you had any advice for anyone that's up and coming, what would it be? What advice would you give?
Watch as much wrestling as you can. Good and bad, because you learn from the good and you learn what not to do from the bad. Um, yeah, I would just say that, and get as many matches. That's my dog whining. If you can hear that.
That's okay. That's okay. Listen,
Yeah, she's hungry. She needs some food.
I have a cat at home, so I understand the feeling. We'll let you go feed the dogs here very soon, and I wanted to give you something. I know that you recently got inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame, but I have a Hall of Fame as well, and Mark Farner of Grand Funk Railroad's in my Hall of Fame, and this guy Rhino and Savio Vega you probably heard of, they're in my Hall of Fame, and a bunch of other musicians, and I thought that you've been so kind, even being here for a few minutes, that we put you in the Hall of Fame here, and we'll give you the physical copy when we're off the air. And we thank you so much, and we really appreciate you and everything you've done for our sport. I can't thank you enough, and we'll give you the certificate when we're up there. Going back to the documentary, which is what I'm here for, and obviously it's called Nevermore: The Raven Effect. Please, Amazon Prime. You can rent it for only $5. You can buy it
If you're looking it up on Amazon, if you type in Raven, R-A-V, you'll get to it quicker, apparently.
Yeah.
If you type in Nevermore, you have to get to the O. You have to get to the Nevermo.
Yeah, and there's a heavy metal band called Nevermore, and that people get confused by that.
Well, no, they just for some reason it doesn't pull up. It should pull up at Never at Never, but it takes to get to the O to pull up the picture of the movie.
Well, and it's funny, even still, the documentary's doing great. Going back to the documentaries, I got a few more minutes with you. Is there something that you want people to take away from it that are going to watch it the first, even if they're not a fan of yours, even if they just watch it because they're a fan of your story or they are curious about it? What would you want somebody to take away from watching your documentary coming up?
If you have mental illness, then talk about it. Don't be afraid to. You shouldn't be embarrassed by it. It's like if you have a broken arm, you put a cast on it. If your brain's broken, then you got to get. If you're missing chemicals in your brain, you need to replace them with the right ones, or you need to talk about the issues. Don't just keep it to yourself and wallow in your own misery. That I would like them to get. Also, I'd like my hopefully my friends understand me, and then my fans as well understand me a little better now. Because we all want to be understood, and I think this shows a true portrait of who I am, and explains why I am the way I am. Not that there's any excuse for my behavior. There were poor behaviors. But at least, but I take responsibility for him. I fully take responsibility.
Hey, listen, I mean, what, you're here, and it's a great story. We put the link up here on Amazon, and you can go out and buy it, and I would certainly recommend it. And
well, point out that that's the Blu-rays, the $27.90.
Yeah.
The Prime Video is only $4.99 or $14.99 to buy it.
Yep, I have that right in front of me. Actually, I have it here, and there it is. There you can go, and I have Amazon Prime, so I got a chance to download it right away, and it came out last week, and you can check it out and such. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask many people consider you to be one of the guys that had one of the best matches with Goldberg in his career, and what does that mean to you when people say such a thing?
No, that means a lot. I think I think Goldberg had 4 good matches. You know, at least in the old Goldberg. I don't know what he's done since, because
Not much.
well, he had one. He had 2 matches with me, and one with DDP, and one with Scott Steiner,
Yep.
that people consider to be the best Goldberg matches. Yeah, I'm proud of that. You know, it's important to be for. I pride myself in being able to have a great match with anybody. You know, that's the old saying: you could have a match with a broomstick.
Yeah, I
You know?
heard my say that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true though. You should be able to have a great match with anybody if you reach a certain level.
Yeah.
You know, at a certain level, you should never have a bad match. They may not be great, but they should never be bad.
Well, listen, you know, if you think about your match with him, that led him to go to the next level. Where when you had the U.S. Championship and then he won it the next night, that's his career kind of. That's what got him to the next level. So in many ways, you're really an important cog to his career. Without you and that, who knows what would have happened. And what is your relationship with Paul Heyman these days?
We get along really well.
Well, that's glad to hear that. I mean,
I mean, I don't stay in touch with a lot of people. I'm just not that kind of person.
Mhm.
But when I see him, and then it's like I just saw him yesterday, but I'm not big on the phone, big on phone calls.
I know the
So,
feeling.
but I ran into Paulie a couple years ago, and we had a great conversation. And I really he's spoken very highly of me as I have of him, and I really admire the man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, listen. I mean, Gary Wolf talked a lot about him when he was here. Gary here. I speak to him here and there, and obviously the news of the Monster Factory closing is a big deal to people. And
Oh, the Monster Factory closed?
it's yeah, it was. I think last week they announced the Monster Factory was going to close. It's kind of a I'm in New York, so it's a kind of a big blow to a lot of people. Obviously.
Yeah, I went there.
First guy. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What did you think about the Monster Factory in your career and how it helped you and such?
I didn't put it this way. Larry Sharp was on the road with Bam Bam Bigelow at the time,
Yep.
so I learned from Charlie Fulton.
Okay.
And he taught me everything that you couldn't, like, he taught me all the basics and everything I needed to know. And really, then you just have to go to a territory, or
Yeah.
back in the day, you have to go to
Yeah.
a territory to really learn how to work.
Yeah, I guess what Gary kind of said when he was on here. That makes kind of a lot of sense and such. And obviously, we want everybody to go out there if you can. Amazon, it's only $4.99 to rent. It is obviously something you should really watch, even if you're not a wrestling fan. I used to review movies, and these are the kind of things. I mean, Billy Corgan's in this, Chris Jericho. There's a lot of great people that are in the documentary. Check it out. I mean, it's definitely worth it. Blu-ray's $27.99. HD is $14.99. Like I said, rent it for $4.99. Black Friday, perfect thing for the family. Also, you can go to theraveneffect.com for more information. Raven.cultfollowing.co. Also, the podcast, check it out. And
Wait, what? Raven.Colt Fargo? What's that?
I got raven.cultfollowing.co for your website. That's what I have there.
From a website? That's not my website.
Yeah, well, I have something there that has your information on there, but
That's not correct.
well, somebody will check it. But if you are on Instagram as well, the official Raven Film and the Raven Effect, you can check it all out. And before I let you go, is there anything else you want to say or tell everyone? Obviously, we're very honored to have you on the platform, even if it's a few minutes in technical difficulties. We're certainly very honored to have you here on the platform.
Well, I just want to say that I hope everybody watches the movie and enjoys it. I really think they will. I think if you like documentaries, you'll like it, and if you like wrestling, you'll like it. I don't think there's any way to lose.
There's no downside. There's no downside. And I always liked you because you were kind of the combinations of what I always looked for. You always had the leather jacket. You always had the rock shirts. You were kind of a rock guy in a wrestling world, and I kind of think that you're a perfect. And also, you as a kid, one of the things I watched you on was Win Ben Stein's Money. I never forget you were on Comedy Central there all those years ago with some of the WCW wrestlers, and I never hear anybody ask you about that, but I do have a fond memory as a kid watching you on Comedy Central on that particular show that day back in 19...
that was fun.
Yeah, when I was in college, I actually ran into Ben Stein once. I'm here in New York City, and I remember I never forget telling him. I used to watch, and I actually mentioned it's a small world. I mentioned, it was you, DDP was on that episode, and it was just a great thing. And here I am, and I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And yeah, any last words, anything you want to say before we let you?
No, I'm good, man. Thank you.
You absolutely. We're very honored, and that is the newest member of the Sportzwire Radio Hall of Fame. No, you're not seeing things. That is Raven, despite the technical difficulties. Quote the Raven, Nevermore, and you can check out his documentary, Nevermore, The Raven Effect. It's out now, Amazon Prime. Go to his website, check out his podcast. It's on Apple. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all music and wrestling matters. And hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving, and have a great night. And sir, thank you so much again for your time, and continued success on the documentary.
Thank you very much.